I have to say I'm astonished it's taken me so long to discover Gibraltar. It's such an amazing place. It's bizarre, it's unusual, it's beautiful, it's extraordinary. I've never been anywhere quite like it.
And what was it that drew you to Gibraltar? Was it the influence of The Living Daylights, the James Bond film that was filmed here? Alex Rider has been likened to a teen James Bond.
Yes, I mean, The Living Daylights was, I suppose, somewhere in the back of my head. Though actually what happened was, some years ago, I wrote a book called Scorpio Rising, and I needed a high-security prison run by the British authorities, but somewhere outside the United Kingdom. And Gibraltar immediately sprung to mind. So without really thinking about it, I set that part of the book in Gibraltar. Now, here I am, 4 or 5 years later, writing a new Alex Rider book called Nightshade, and that book takes place partly in the prison, but also it involves a prison escape with Alex in Gibraltar. And I realised I couldn't write about the island and about this place without actually coming here and visiting it and getting an idea of what it's like. So that's why I'm here.
And what is it that stood out most for you since being here?
Well, obviously I've been up the Rock, which is absolutely extraordinary. I think, it's hard to do it justice. In fact, one of the things I'm doing is writing a travel column, so I'm going to have to try and explain to British tourists why they should be hurrying out here. But also the sort of the nature of the island, the sort of the peculiarity of the sort of the half Spanish, entirely British mix that you have here, and the sort of the people, the welcome that I've received, the streets, the old and the new. I find that the contrasts, the high and the low, the green and the concrete. I find it all very, very interesting. Plus, of course, its historical significance, its geographical importance. I'm surprised, really, I haven't written about it before.
Without giving too much away, can you give us any idea of what to expect from the next Alex Rider adventure?
Well, I don't want to give too much away because actually I haven't really thought it all up yet, but it does start with this high security prison that I've imagined somewhere up there on the Rock. It has a prison break, it has Alex and another boy having to come all the way down, not using the roads. Is it possible to climb from the top to the bottom? That's one of the things I'm looking at today, though I won't be doing it, I hasten to add. And then hiding out down here, it's going to come on, it's going to touch on probably the drug trade over to Africa, a little bit of that because the boys have to escape, so they're going to get involved with criminal gangs. There is so much that I can write, but as I say, at this stage it's very much, in the early conception.
The Alex Rider books have been a huge success. Why do you think they've struck such a chord with young readers?
Well, I think the main thing about the Alex Rider books is that he is a reluctant spy. He is a boy, a teenager who has been manipulated by the authorities and who has been thrown into adventures without really wanting them. And I think that actually, if anything, is the secret of the book's success. I mean, you could add that it's full of action and adventure and chases and violence and exotic locations and all the rest of it. But I think at the end of the day, it's that sort of existential mindset that the boy has that somehow appeals to modern teenagers.
And of course, Alex Rider isn't all you're known for. You've written other series, other genres, including horror, for example. Where do you draw your inspiration, and what is it that keeps you writing?
I'm inspired by everything. Everywhere I go, there are stories. A place like Gibraltar, I was up in the caves yesterday, World War II caves and the Siege of Gibraltar caves, and all you're getting on this island is stories. Everywhere you look, the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, Africa, Spain, the whole political situation here, Brexit, it's one story after another. And for children, obviously I'm not really interested in politics, I'm not really even writing history, but I simply get inspired by all these stories that are around me, and I challenge them into adventures, I throw in a lot of action, and that's how it works.
You've also written adult novels. What was the process in adapting to a different readership? Is there one you prefer?
I love all my writing pretty much equally, to be honest with you. I don't see a huge difference between it. I am really compelled by storytelling, by surprise, by suspense, all these things which are equally present in a kid's book and an adult book. I don't put a different hat on when I'm writing for children or for adults. I'm just drawn by the same sort of inspiration. Perhaps in the children's books, in the second draft, I look at them and I think, is this too violent? Are some of these words too long? Is this easy enough to follow? Is it fast enough? So I'm, as it were, editing on my second and third drafts for children, but broadly speaking, when I sit down at my desk and write, it is exactly the same impetus, no matter what the audience.
What can you tell us about the other projects you currently have in the pipeline?
Well, I'm adapting my book Magpie Murders for television, which is a murder mystery which I wrote, which is going to be turned into an 8-part television series. I'm hoping to start work very soon on The Caine Mutiny, a book I've been wanting to adapt for a very long time, a wonderful story of the Second World War. There are other things in my life. A third Hawthorne novel is going to come along quite soon, and there's a collection of Alex Rider short stories which are coming out next year. I'm busy. I never sit anywhere without at least 2 or 3 projects on the go, and that's true today.
And finally, can we expect you to come back to Gibraltar, perhaps to promote the new Alex Rider book?
I'd certainly love to come back to Gibraltar. I mean, I've had a wonderful time here. I'm staying on this extraordinary floating hotel, the Sunwall, which has been wonderful and so hospitable. And I love being in the centre of Ocean Village with the whole town around me. I'd certainly come back to Gibraltar if anybody asked me to promote the book. I'd come back just for a holiday. I'd love my wife to come with me next time. I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed being here.